Okay, well, great. Here we are. This is a mat Pilates. So you'll need a mat in your body for Pilates. This is an exercise format focused on your core musculature, which are any muscles that attach to your spine and your pelvis. Feel free to modify any of the movements that I do today, especially when it comes to like planks or push-ups. You can do any variations of those that you like. Let's go ahead and start with our warm-up and our breath. The breath is the most important part of Pilates. If there's ever in doubt what's more important than any of the movement I do, it's your breath. It's the breathing muscles of your body, which is your diaphragm. I'm going to inhale through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. You're more than welcome to take water breaks at any time, skip any exercise you like, jump back in when you're ready. Inhale, sitting nice and tall, and exhale. If you're familiar with all this, you don't need to keep looking at the video. You can look straight ahead, have your head and neck aligned with your spine. Shoulders down and relaxed away from your ears. Inhale and exhale. Very, very slow and deep. And exhale, get all that air out. It's coming out through slightly pursed lips, so you should be able to hear yourself exhale. Let's go ahead and roll on down. Take a breath in and exhale. Slowly, slowly, slowly. We are rolling down. Okay, so we're on the mats. Head and neck aligned to our spine, our pelvis. Our knees are bent, feet flat on the floor. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth. So your feet are about hip distance apart. You're in a very comfortable position. There's a small space under your lower back, which follows a natural curvature of your spine. On the next exhale, we're going to contract the abdominals, which should already be slightly contracting as you exhale anyways, but we're going to contract it even more so that it brings our lower back down into an imprint. You should feel your tailbone lift off the floor. Inhale, return to neutral. Exhale, imprint. Inhale, neutral. You might not be able to notice it on the camera, but my pelvis is just gently rocking back and forth. I rocked it back, tailbone off the floor. Inhale, neutral, tailbone on the floor. It's a very, very small, but I would say important movements. Okay, and then from here, we're going to imprint and lift our legs to tabletop. Anytime we have both legs up, we want to be imprinted so that our lower back has the stability of the floor supporting it. And my feet are still hip distance apart, and I'm going to tap out the toes one at a time. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. My knees are at 90 degrees, and they're going to stay at 90 as I move at the hip joints. Exhale, inhale. Slowly, in control, keeping that breath going. Now, if you'd like to lower all 10 toes, don't feel obligated to take it all the way to the floor. It is more work when both legs are going down as compared to just one leg. You still want to maintain the imprint the entire time. Exhale. Inhale. Good. Last one. Moving slowly and in control at all times. Good. From here, your knees are still at 90 degrees, and now we can bend the knees to less than 90 Dropping those heels and place the feet on the floor. Rolling up into our shoulder bridge. Press through the feet. Peel off the floor, starting from the tailbone till we're onto our shoulder blades. Inhale. Exhale, slowly roll it down. Inhale. And exhale, roll it up again. Finding that articulation motion, moving one vertebra at a time. Squeeze the glutes. So here's an exercise that's focused on the pelvis muscles as well as the muscles around the spine. All that together are core muscles. Core muscles are not just ab muscles. Last time here, really thinking about the strong straightness from shoulders through knees. Lifting the head and shoulder blades. Exhale. Eye gaze on the knees. Inhale, we hold. Exhale, lower. Just until the shoulder blades are off the ground. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. So exhaling to nod the chin, lift the head, neck, and shoulders up. Inhale, we can hold here, keep the height, or maybe we can lift a little bit more. And then exhale, we're slowly lowering the shoulder blades and head back down. Inhale, we're preparing for the lift, and exhale, we are lifting. Inhale, exhale. Again, you should be able to hear yourself exhale here. Inhale. That kind of forceful exhalation helps recruit your abs more than if it was a passive exhalation, like you're trying to warm up your hands. That kind of more yoga style breathing is a little different than Pilates breathing. Good. So we're going to go into our hundreds. Hundreds is when we pump our arms 100 times. You can do so with your feet on the ground, legs at tabletop, legs vertical, or legs on the diagonal. Lift the head and shoulder blades, palms down, and we pump. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 10. Inhale. Exhale. 20. Inhale. Exhale. 30. Inhale. Exhale. 40. Inhale. You don't have to keep the same leg position every time. You can change it to here halfway through. You can straighten it up after 10. It's all up to you. Inhale. Exhale. 80. Inhale. Exhale. 90. Inhale. And exhale. 100. Bring those knees in. There's a little bit of endurance for the abs. And also a little bit of endurance for the neck muscles. Your neck muscles are going to be worked here, but we don't want to work it in a strenuous, negative way. So always feel free to put your head back down if needed. For our spine extension is lifting of the chest, but not hyperextending the neck. We're going to keep that chin tucked a little bit and keep that head and neck aligned with the spine. Exhale, lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale, lower. I'm gently pressing into my forearms, keeping the tops of the feet on the mats. If you find that you're putting very little pressure into those forearms and you don't really need them there, you can take those arms back toward the toes and reach, opening up that chest more. As I inhale, I'm lifting, keeping my chin slightly tucked. As I'm exhale, I'm lowering. When I'm ready to inhale again, I lift, opening up that chest, filling my lungs with air, and then exhale, lower. One more version. Take the hand underneath the forehead. Lifting the weight of the arms. This takes the most amount of work from your spine muscles. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. You have two other versions that you can do at any points. You can put your forearms back on the floor and keep them there. You can keep your arms reaching behind you, or you can add them underneath your forehead. 2 more times. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Lift everything, so chest, arms, head, and lower. Hands go underneath the shoulders, we push back, and we stretch our spine. We're rolling over a round object on our thighs to stretch our spine. Coming to a seated position on the front half of your mats. We're going to lean back with a C curve. So this is called a half roll back. We're not going to roll all the way down, but just halfway down. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, half roll back. So feel your abdominals increase and work as you lean back. Shoulders stay down and away from the ears. Good, I'm going to extend one leg as I reach back. Trying to keep my knees next to each other. Inhale. Exhale the other leg. I'm trying not to lower the leg. I'm trying to keep the knees next to each other again. And I'm just bending and straightening. Exhale. Reach. Inhale. Exhale. Try a different variation. Exhale, we keep our legs down. On the inhale, as I come up, I straighten the leg. Okay, this is more challenging. You'll find probably you can't straighten your leg as much, or that the leg lowers a little bit, or it might not be able to sit up as high. That's okay. Bend the knee, reach back with your spine. As we sit up, we straighten the leg. You can do the previous version if you prefer. Last time. Exhale. Inhale. I'm going to roll all the way down. I'm only going to straighten one leg. So I've done roll-ups with both legs down. I've done roll-ups with one leg lifted. I'm going to have the leg bent, but not lifted and tabletop. Extend those arms, biceps by the ears. Inhale, we reach the arms to the ceiling. We nod the chin, and we exhale. We use our abdominals to roll our way up. Now, if you need, feel free to grab behind the hamstring and sort of assist yourself up. Good. Lengthen here. So you find like sometimes when our legs are pulled straight, the hamstring, the tightness of our hamstring really restrict our movements. When one leg is bent, doesn't restrict our movement as much. So roll on down nice and slowly, control. Bend the other leg, just a bare bend, just until the feet are flat on the ground. So I'm not pulling it in here. Okay. Inhale, arms, head, shoulder blades. Exhale. Again, grab right here. You can give a little assistance. And I'm coming to as lengthened as I can. Exhale, rolling back. Switch again. Inhale. Exhale the spine. Inhale to lengthen. Lengthen through the top of your head. Exhale. Roll on down. And the final switch. Inhale. Exhale. How are we doing? Good. So we are going to do 2 more. I know I said final switch, but We're going to do 2 more, but with different variations. So here, I'm back to the first version where my knee is bent, my other leg is straight. As I roll up, I'm actually going to kick the bent leg out straight. Inhale, arms, head, shoulders. Exhale, roll up, kick. It's okay if the leg gets lower, but let's try not to put it on the ground. Let's keep those quads engaged. And then I'm rolling down. And then I'm bending the knee. Okay, this is the final roll up. We're only going to do one of these variations each once. And so when I start to peel my spine up, my leg will straighten off the ground. Inhale, arms, head, shoulders. Exhale. Good. It's okay if the leg is lower to the ground. We try to keep it lifted. We try to keep it as high as we can. Very, very much engaged. Lots of quads and hip flexors. And then we're back down slowly with control. Hug those knees in for single leg stretch. Single leg stretch, we can reach it to the sky, on the diagonal, on the lower diagonal. Good. So we're going to exhale to reach, inhale to switch, exhale to reach. Head, neck, and shoulders come up if you'd like. Inhale, exhale. So as I'm transferring my hand to the other knees when I inhale, and my hand makes it to the other knee, it's an exhale to stretch that leg out. Inhale, exhale. So if we move our legs too fast, and we're trying to coordinate breathing with our movements, you'd have to be breathing really quickly in order to make this happen, right? You'd have to be breathing too fast, and that's not our goal here. So set the breath pace, inhale, exhale, and then from there, you're moving at a pretty good speed. Take those hands behind the head. Gentle rotation. Let's get some arms involved today. So bring the arm across to the outside of the bent knee, just until you touch that outside here. You don't need to reach above and like far beyond, just until you touch. And that'll dictate the proper range of rotation. This shoulder blade, try not to let it touch the ground. See, when I turn this way, it's easy to want to let it drop. We try to keep it up. Exhale, inhale. Exhale, inhale. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Last 2. Trying to keep those shoulder blades off the floor. Good. And we are in tabletop position. We're going to just focus on one side first. I crisscross my arms. The opposite limbs reach out and in, out and in, on whatever diagonal you like. So there's 4. Let's see if we can do it with our head, neck, and shoulder blades up. Same side. We're not switched yet. 3 more. 2. And 1. Good. If you want to place your head back down, just give it a little rest. You can. We're going to do 4. I'm going to do 4 with my head down. If your head is down, your shoulder blades are down. Try not to pull the knees too far in. Stops at tabletop. Stop. The knees are over the hips. And now with the shoulder blades up. 4, 3, 2. And now we're going to do 8 with both legs and arms. So again, if you want to start with your head down, there's 4. And if you want to continue doing the opposite limbs, you can. Don't have to do what I'm doing. And we lift up for 4, and 3, 2, and 1. Good. Going to scissors. Splits. Inhale to switch. Splits. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Head and shoulders can be down. You just won't be able to reach as high on the leg. That's okay. Still feeling your abs work when your legs are both off the ground and as straight as possible. Let's do a double pulse. So it looks like this. Pulse, pulse. In other words, reach, reach further. Reach, reach further. Reach, reach further. So my arm is gently pulling. Okay, I'm not yanking on my leg. I don't want to pull my hamstrings. It's just giving a gentle little nudge. And the bottom leg is reaching further out, like it wants to pop out of the hip socket, but also maybe a little lower to the ground. Pulse, 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 pulse. Last 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. Okay, flip over onto your stomach. Your abs are tired. We're gonna work on our stomach. We're gonna lay on our stomach and work on our spine. So for the spine work, arms are gonna W. So this is what it looks like when your forearm's on the ground. But when we lift the chest this time, the forearms are gonna come off the ground. So you are lifting the weight of your legs. Sorry, you're lifting the weight of your arms. We will add the legs later. Gosh, sometimes I listen to myself and I just make no sense. Inhale here. There are the arms. My feet are still down. Good, I'm actually going to have you lift the arm, reach it back, open up that chest a little bit more, maybe lift the chest a little bit more, return to bending those elbows and then lowering. And if you'd like to lift your legs and it doesn't bother your lower back, your legs are going to be straight, apart. Okay, they're hip distance, shoulder distance apart. See that? Reach, maybe lift a little more, bend those elbows, and down. And you're constantly breathing. So alternate the breath. Inhale, lift. Exhale, reach for the toes. Inhale, bend the elbows. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, reach back. Open up the chest. Inhale, bend those elbows again. Trying to keep the chest up. Trying to keep the legs up. And then exhale. Release everything. Keep going. 4 more times. How are we doing here? Good. At your own pace, guys. It's definitely not a competition. I see you looking at me, Vivian. Keep your chin down. Too funny. Yeah, if you ever need to look at me for form and technique, feel free to, but you don't want to keep your gaze on me the whole time, because if you looked at me the whole time, most likely your head and neck is not in alignment. All right, I think that was 4. You guys are overachievers. You probably did more than 4. So let's sit back and stretch our spine. Very good. No matter what I say 4 more, 3 more, 2 more, if you are ready for that rest, you're ready to take a break, you just take that break, right? Don't feel like you need to do that 2, 3, 4 extra ones. Okay, so we're on our elbows for our first plank of the day. Our elbows are underneath the shoulders. Like I said, if you've taken my class for a while, I prefer that the butt is higher rather than going to the knees for the plank. So if this is challenging for your abs and it feels okay, like no pain in the back, then this is good for you. And if you don't feel your abs, then you do want to lower those hips until they're about shoulder height. And usually this is where we really feel those abdominals. But people can feel abdominals in different areas. Now, usually if you start to let the hips sag like this, you're not going to feel in your abs anymore. You're instead going to feel it in your lower back, a lot of pressure there. So we don't want to be too low, but it's okay to be a little higher. Look at your thumbs, head and neck align with the spine. We're not just squeezing our abs here. Breathe in and out at that slow, same pace that you've been doing this whole hour. And squeeze your butt and your quads too. So I want strength, almost from your shoulders down to your ankles. Reach those ankles to the back of the room. Okay, now that I'm done talking and saying everything I need to say about the plank, we can come out of it. Usually by the time I say my whole spiel, it's been like 30 seconds. No one's even counting 30 seconds. We're gonna do side planks. Side planks, work on the obliques. It does also work on the shoulders, okay? So let's be very careful about the shoulder. This is a sunken in shoulder or a sinking into the shoulder. You want to stay nice and strong. So here is a good sort of way of reminding yourself to stay lifted. I'm going to start with the bottom knee bends. So I'm going to do a variation of this. If you want to do this variation again in the second round, feel free. So we're going down and up. But when I push up, I'm not just stopping at neutral. I'm going to go a little higher. Push a little higher. Good. Exhale. Like there's like a candle, a burning flame, and you don't want that flame to touch you. So you're trying to get as way as you can. Lift. Sometimes it's our shoulders that fatigue first before our obliques, and that's okay. We're working both at the same time. Last two. Last one. Good. Go ahead and come off the elbow for a moment and see if this feels any different. Anytime we're more elevated, yes, it is pressure on the wrist. I understand. But anytime we're more elevated, it does change how the work is felt through the rest of our body. Just notice that difference. Two more. Good, let's switch sides. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. All this lifting and lowering is happening without affecting the shoulders. We're always staying strong and lifted through the shoulders. You really want to try to feel it down here. Two more. Okay, and if you want to switch sides or continue, if you want to continue on your elbows, don't switch sides yet. Now, sometimes with the wrist, if you do have an injury, like you've injured your wrist, yes, you don't want to be on it, but sometimes it's just discomfort. And with that discomfort, it's kind of like the neck muscle. You get used to it, and you kind of build up that strength in that muscle group or in that wrist over time. So I just encourage you, if you don't have an injury in the wrist, to try practicing some work on the wrist, bit by bit. Last one. Okay. So now we're going back to the first side. Back on the elbows. And instead of the bottom knee being bent, I'm totally sunken into my shoulder there. I'm going to have you bend the top leg. And it's going to be behind the front leg. Okay, and from here, same thing. So you're going to press into the edge of that bottom leg. You're also pressing into the foot. So there's a little assistance here, but we're still doing oblique work. How are we doing here? Two more. Good. If your shoulders need a break, you can come down to here. We're going to actually lift the bottom leg like so. If you're not bothered in the shoulders, go ahead and stay propped up and try to lift that bottom leg. And basically keeping the foot parallel and working on the inner thigh. Good. So if you needed that shoulder break, you had it. For the last variation of this, If you want to keep doing the leg lift, go right ahead. If you want to do the hip lift, right ahead. And if you want to do both, it looks like this. For 8, 7, 6, 5. Got it. You can also come down like this, lift and lower. 2 and 1. Switch sides. How do we do? So I'm kind of building it up. You have a lot of variations. Listen to your body, find the variation that works. First, it's the hip lift. Bend the back leg, have that leg behind the front, and hips only. 8 of each. For once, I'm counting really well because I don't want to do too many of these. These are hard. Okay, this is the 8th one. And again, you know that we're going to lift the hips and the leg later. So if you want to give a break for your shoulders, it's fine to do it for the leg lift like this because it's not as big a deal. It does feel different though. It is a little harder to lift the leg when you're propped up. But I do want to be aware of people's shoulders. So working on the inner thighs here. Okay, I think that was 8. So let's prepare to lift everything. So you can do hips and then legs and then lower. Okay, or you can keep those hips up for 8, 7. Exhale, inhale. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. So that's a little bit of inner and outer thigh work. So even though you think we're only doing inner thighs, anytime we're lifting our hips, it's our outer thighs pressing into the mat. So that's a bit of inner and outer thigh work that are very much a part of our core musculature. They attach to our pelvis. So now we're going to do our glutes, which is right behind us, and they too attach to our pelvis and are critical components. All right, so go ahead and do your shoulder bridge. Where are we going? Okay. Glad you guys like it when I experiment on you. I'm just kidding. I would never experiment on you guys. I've done everything before. I would never give you something I've never done before. Okay, so here's our shoulder bridge. Remember this from the warm-up. And instead of articulating our way up, we just push those hips up nice and high. The important part about this is that our hips are going up simultaneously, right and left. And even when we take away a leg and lift in the air, both right and left hips go up at the same time. All right, which leg should we lift first? Doesn't matter, I'm lifting my front leg. We're gonna lift both eventually. Let your hands be on the ground. This is a great way for stabilizing. However, you can actually challenge your stabilization with having your arms off the ground. So it looks like this if you want to try. So if my hands are on the ground, I'm pressing into the floor. I'm not pulling on the mats. Otherwise, your arms are over the shoulders. Both right and left hip come up at the same time. So let's start with 8 on each leg. Let's do 2 more. And just because you have your arms committed for this exercise doesn't mean you have to commit to it the entire time. Switch legs for 8. Keep tight hamstrings. Yes, it'll always feel better to have your knees bent. But your hamstrings won't ever get more flexible if you don't challenge it by trying to straighten your legs. Even if you're trying to straighten your legs and they don't go straight all the way, that's okay. The very act of trying to straighten your legs stretches those hamstrings. So we're going to do that now. Every time I lift my butt, my leg will straighten. And then when I lower my butt, my knees will bend again. Okay? Inhale, prepare. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Now you don't need to look at me. You know what we're doing. I want you to look at your hips. Is your right and left hip coming up to the same height? 2 more here. And last one. Good. Switch. For 8, 7, 6. Keep breathing. Exhale, we lift. Inhale, we lower. 3, 2. Any variation I've done so far, you can do for the last variation. So if you want to keep your knees bent, you can. For this last one, I'm going to go up with the hip, lower, lift, and then come down. So if you're going up and you're not straightening the legs, that's okay. You can go at your own pace. You might not all be in sync with each other, but that's okay. Okay, here we go. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, lift. Hold the butt up there. Knees next to each other, not touching, but just next to each other. Lift and lower. Straighten, lower, lift, bend and lower. Keep alternating the breath. We exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. And if you find yourself doing inhale first, that's okay. Just keep alternating the breath. It's not. The only thing that's the end of the world is you not breathing, literally. So just keep breathing and you're fine in Pilates. Last one. So your bottom leg, your stabilizing leg is probably a little more fatigued because it had to hold your hips up for a lot longer while your moving leg was doing all the extra motion. All right, last slide. So we're still doing 8 reps, but these 8 reps are much more fatiguing. Wait, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. I think we got 4 more or 3 more. When in doubt, do an extra. So 3 more. Let's just do 2 more and we'll call it a day. Last one. Okay. All right, hug your knees in. We're going to work on our lower part of the abs, which we've already done actually with all this leg movement. But so you have a couple options. One is you can keep your hands on the ground, pressing into the floor. Our legs will be high, and we're going to take turns circling. But I wouldn't call it a circle. I'd call it more of a U, or like a paperclip shape. You're going to dip down on the right side, make a U-turn, come up on the left side. And we're actually not quite finishing that circle. Then we're going to go back down with the U. All right, so it looks like this, down the side, down the side. Very, very deep U, I should say. Okay, so let's do the first variation together. These are all variations and options. So my legs are straight, they're squeezing together. Doesn't matter which side you go down, but I'm gonna start down on the right side. I'm gonna make my U, and then come up the left side. It's a very narrow U, and it can be as deep as you want. So if you wanna make it a very shallow, like some 90 degrees to 70, that's fine. That's what works, and you wanna stay imprinted. So if you want a little more challenge, you can go down to maybe 45 degrees before you make that U-turn and then come back to 90. Okay, do you see how this is a very personal exercise? But we are going to try to do it with our legs straight. So what that means is I'd rather you have your legs straight and make a very shallow U than to have your knees bent and make a very deep U. Okay, that's my suggestion. But again, you can do what you wish. So here's the U, and pressing into the floor. My tailbone is on the ground and imprinted. Actually, my tailbone is not on the ground except for maybe right here. But my point is that don't want you to sit on your hands. See this? See how my hands are under my butt? So this has been very popular for people to do when they're doing leg raises and lowering, but it actually really messes with your spine because it takes your tailbone right off the floor. Okay, take a quick break. Variation number 2 is we are propped up. I don't mean like Saturday morning cartoon like this. Who does that anymore? Saturday morning cartoon. We are propped up here, and I want you to think about lifting your chest, lifting through the shoulders, but at the same time, imprinting the lower back. So you don't want to arch, imprint the lower back. So lift the chest, but imprint the lower back. For this one, we are going to do with our knees bent. Just to start. I know you can't really tell, but I'm still making that U with my feet. And if this feels okay to you, then you can lift your legs. This is going to be more challenging though, because we don't have our full spine on the ground. Our full spine is not on the ground. If you want to do a partial bend, you can. Be careful that you don't fall down and sink into your shoulders. Let's do one more. One great U. And we're done. Okay. So I'm going to do a couple of teasers that'll probably last a minute or two. And then we'll be good. So today's teaser, we're going to start from the ground. For this is a lot about timing. So you lift the arms, you lift the head, you lift the shoulder blades, and you basically just want to feel like you're folding yourself together. So a little bit of momentum is okay. You got to get those shoulder blades up before you fold up. And then from here, I want you to just open up. Reach the toes out. Reach your shoulder blades back, and then lower everything. And then down. So you reverse the motion. Look at my arms. They're going towards my toes. I'm lifting my head. I'm lifting my shoulders. These things must happen before you pull your knees in and use your abs to lift up. And then you want to do the reverse, but slowly. I don't care if you come up with speed. You got to get yourself up. Initially with momentum. Over time, you don't need as much momentum. Right? So over time, it's going to be inhale, exhale, slowly come up. Inhale, exhale, slowly go down. If you want to try it with legs straight, same thing. Inhale, arms, head, shoulders. Exhale, we come up. Inhale, we slowly go down. Let's do 2 more. Legs straight, legs bent. Your way, whatever works. It's okay if you speed on the way up. You want to have nothing but slowness, resisting gravity on the way down. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Flip over onto your hands and knees. Do a little bit of stretch here. Exhale. Round the spine. Inhale, arch your back. Try to find the extremes of your curvatures. And then find right in between neutral spine. 4, spine balance. Reaching a leg behind, the opposite arm forward. Feel free to keep the arms down and only lift the leg. You're looking for a neutral spine balance. And switch. Remember, knees are underneath the hips and wrists are underneath the shoulders. Extend the other leg back, no higher than the hip. Abs tight, find your balance. It's the opposite arm that's forward. Good. Extend one leg out to the side. We're still on neutral back, neutral spine. And then just shift back ever so slightly for the hip opening inner thigh stretch. And other side. First, I realign myself, extend the leg to the side, and then shift back. All right. And that should conclude our Mat Pilates class for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me.